By the way, good morning, everyone. My name, as Greta explained, is Marie Wiese, and I just want to make a note to everyone that I have been part of the Regional Innovation Center network for probably over 15 years now. I did some work with Venture Lab in Markham. I used to be an advisor with the Innovation Factory. I'm currently an advisor with the Spark Center in Oshawa, just because of my physical location. Now I moved to Barrie, just north of Toronto. And so I am very well aware of the startup community, what it takes to build a business these days. And so I'm really hoping that this presentation is really tailored to everyone in the audience today, because I understand how hard it is, especially in the last 18 months, to figure out the best way to build a marketing sales funnel for your business and how to build a repeatable lead generation engine. And so I want to talk about that. And then I want to point you to a tool that we have a fantastic deal with right now, and that would be HubSpot. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you are currently a HubSpot user, you might want to ask me some questions at the end of the session about that. If you are not, we have a special offer for you. And I'm just going to really try to highlight why in today's climate, a marketing automation tool is a must if you're going to scale up your business and build a repeatable lead engine for your business. So let's just dive right into it. And let's talk about 3 facts right off the hop that has dramatically changed the way we do business. First and foremost, you've heard probably throughout the last couple of years, people talking about buyers want all the information up front. The digital first buyer wants to self-serve, wants to self-select. The last thing they want to do is speak to a sales rep. The other thing we know to be true today, sadly, is that 50% of leads are mismanaged on B2B websites, and they're likely mismanaged on consumer websites as well. But I worked with a company in Mississauga called CRM Dynamics. They did a secret shopper exercise where they visited 2,100 B2B websites. They contacted people via the website and waited to see, A, if they got a response, B, if they got a second response, and see how long it took to respond. And the sad fact of the matter was that 50% didn't get back to them. So 50% of leads are mismanaged. The third most compelling fact that drives us to need to tackle this problem as a business is that many times we are so excited about the new relationship, finding new people, building our list size, putting more people at the top of the funnel, that we forget the middle of the funnel. And what we know to be true is that if you manage the middle of the funnel well and align your sales and marketing team so there is a good handoff between generating a lead, nurturing a lead, and waiting until it is a sales qualified lead to pass it to the sales team, we know we can drive more sales at less cost. So the middle of the funnel is what many organizations are really struggling to figure out. And they're struggling to figure out because they don't understand how to draw a line between what marketing does in their organization and what sales does in their organization. And so marketing automation can fill that gap. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, there was a time, I've been doing this for a long time. There was a time back in 2010, 2011, where I would go out to business owners and say, what's the state of your website? Does it help you or hurt you in the sales process? And most small business owners and startups would say to me, nobody's going to go to our website before they buy from us. And I used to smile and laugh about that. I said, well, actually they are. They're going to find you whether you like it or not. And the story you tell on your website and the way you engage them in the sales process on your website is going to probably make or break whether they shortlist you. And nobody believed me. Then social media really tipped in about 2012, and social media just picked up a lot of momentum about how people were sharing content, connecting with each other. And suddenly CEOs were coming to me and saying, I just lost a deal because the content on my website was so bad that when they went there to check us out, they didn't think we were a reputable company. So we know that all roads lead to your website. And regardless of what you do, even if you're building an app, even if you're engaging people through mobile, even if you offer a service, all roads lead to your website or should lead to your website. And the reason we say that is because when you look at the different tools you can use today online, I put them in three categories: owned, rented, or purchased. Purchased means you're paying for traffic. That could be Google Ads. That could be a number of different things that you're paying to get eyeballs to try to drive traffic to a certain spot. Rented is what I refer to as social media, where you get to play in that space. You can go online, set up accounts, share content, but you don't control the rules. You don't have access to the terms and conditions. You don't have access to the way you can access people on a social media site, how you can connect with them. They control the rules, and that's why I say it's rented. We used to say public relations is also rented. If you could get a story in a magazine, that was rented space. And then there's owned space. And what you do have complete control over is your email list and your website. And those are the things that you need to be really building as a startup. So you've got social media and things happening at the front end. You need to somehow drive them back to your website so that you can track and manage leads and transition those people from marketing to sales. And this is where a lot of people have a difficult time figuring out how to do that. And I hope I'm going to give you the answer to that today. I'm going to try to walk you through that. Let's talk a little bit about buyer anxiety, because I think this factors into all of this. Buyer anxiety is what buyers are trying to figure out or do in their lives as they're trying to make a decision about what to buy. Even if you are selling a consumer product, there's a million choices today. There's a million ways to solve a problem. And you have to ensure that the buyer feels comfortable with what they're buying, how it's going to make their life better, and whether they can afford it. And a business buyer goes through the same thing. Those people are human beings. They go through the same thing. And in the past, there was you on one side. There was maybe a clutter of things that they were doing in the middle to try to figure out what the answer to their question was. And then there was maybe you on the other side that they found and decided whether or not you were somebody they wanted to put into their line of sight as a solution. Let's look at today. Let's look at the landscape that has evolved in the last 18 months. Your buyer now has unbelievable anxiety. They have anxiety around what's going to happen in the world, what's going to happen with their family health, their business health. They have the world economy to worry about, the local economy to worry about. They've got data that they're trying to wrestle to the ground on a lot of different things. Some of it's unsubstantiated. They don't know how to cut that away. And then maybe on the other side, there's you. So your job as a business is to reduce buyer anxiety as much as you possibly can so that you can start a relationship with somebody who may eventually buy from you. And we're going to talk about that because I think there's a lot of misconceptions around what we do at the top of the sales funnel and thinking that that's going to generate a lead. And the sad fact of the matter is it's not. And the reason it's not is because we've got two things at play: heightened buyer anxiety and unbelievable choice. And those are the things that are making it harder and harder for us to cut through the clutter as businesses and really try to compete. What buyers need today, and you need to really think this through, which is why you need a marketing automation system to start to automate some of this. Buyers need quality and quantity time with a company. They are not going to buy because you sent them one email, because they clicked on a PPC ad, because they attended a webinar. That's not going to close a sale. They need quality and they need quantity time with you. So you might be trying these things and they might not be producing the results that they maybe produced a year ago, 2 years ago. And the reason for it is buyer anxiety is heightened and there's too much choice now online. So you need to really consider that carefully about how you're going to do relationship building. Engaging the digital first buyer is about building trust, just plain and simple. And the only way we can build trust today, think about it in your own life, how you build trust. If you start out in a new relationship with somebody, maybe you've moved into a new neighborhood and you've got a new next door neighbor. How do you build trust? Well, excuse me, you build trust through familiarity. You show up and you show up often. You demonstrate value. Hey neighbor, can I cut your lawn for you? I noticed it's getting long and I'd be happy to cut your lawn when I'm doing mine. Longevity. They're not going to trust you right away, but they might trust you over 6 to 12 months when you've proven that you're a trustworthy neighbor, you're a nice neighbor, you're a good person. And consistency, that you always show up. You don't, have a sudden moment where, you freak out because they haven't cut their lawn. I'm just using this as an example to sort of explain human nature. Familiarity, value, longevity, and consistency is what builds trust over the long haul. And this is what people forget. This is why people forget about the middle of the funnel. They're so excited to try to get new eyeballs on their products and services that they forget that it's going to take a number of different steps and a series of different actions to start to build trust so that they can create a marketing qualified lead that they can hand to sales. What does it take to lose trust? Well, moving too fast to sell before a relationship has been established. I wrote a book a few years back called You Can't Be Everywhere, and there's a chapter in the book that says, don't propose on the first date. Would anybody want to be proposed to on the first date? If they went out with somebody just to get to know them for coffee, and at the end of the coffee session, the person says, you know what, I think you and I should get married. Well, I bet you any money you would run screaming from the restaurant. I know I would. You're moving too fast. That's too much of a commitment. It's too big of an ask. And we make the same mistake in the sales process. We connect with somebody on LinkedIn and suddenly we're pitching them on, can I have 15 minutes of your time to show you a product? Too fast. I don't have time to give my kids 15 minutes during the day. Why would I give a total stranger in a product I know nothing about and don't even think I need? So moving too fast before the relationship has been established is certainly one way to eradicate trust. A message that's confusing or sounds like everyone else. Buyer doesn't want to work to sort through your website to figure out what the heck you do. A landing page or a website that makes no sense. You maybe did a pay-per-click campaign. You sent them to the homepage. They don't know where to click next, or you sent them to a landing page that makes no sense. Content that's void of discernible value. I read a lot of marketing copy online, and I have to tell you, there's a lot of bad copy out there, and I feel sorry for buyers when they have to muddle through that. Or annoying email spamming or stalking or social media. I know I've gotten a lot of stuff lately in my inbox. Don't mean to interrupt, but did you have a chance to read my last email? I really want to make sure you saw my last email. Can I have some of your time so you can read my last email? Well, email always falls into 3 categories: now, later, or never. And if I don't know you, there's a good chance it's going into the delete junk bin right away. So thinking that we can buy a list and start spamming people, it's not going to work. We need to build time to build a relationship. And these are all things that eradicate trust. So what do you need to build a marketing sales funnel? You're going to hear me repeat this over and over and over again. And I've been working on this methodology for over 10 years now. I've probably worked with in excess of 200 companies to help them put this model in place. What does it take to build a marketing sales funnel today? It takes a value proposition that's clear and creates curiosity with your ideal customer. It takes a landing page that's going to offer value and make you money in the email address or the information you're going to gather. It takes a valuable offer that generates that email address, and it likely will take an email campaign that builds familiarity and trust. Now, there's a bunch of other things we can do to augment this. But at the end of the day, if you don't have these 4 things in place, there's a good chance you're going to fail at building your online marketing sales funnel. And I can say that with all sincerity because I've seen companies do it. I've made these mistakes myself in my own business. It's taken me close to 7 years to figure out how to get my content strategy right. And we're continually evolving it because we might have it right for 6 months and then something changes. But these are the 4 things you need: a strong value prop, a good landing page, an offer, and email consistency. And that is why you need marketing automation. That's why you need a good platform to run this in. So marketing automation is going to allow you to do a whole bunch of other things because now you need to get more sophisticated. Why do I need marketing automation versus just an email platform like MailChimp, like Constant Contact? Well, the reason you need that is because you're going to need to start looking at engagement levels by source of contact, lead source, criteria for hot leads, leads to be nurtured. When does sales engage a lead? And I can tell you very conclusively, having been a constant contact business partner for over 10 years and using MailChimp and using all these other products with clients, that email marketing tools do not allow us the granularity that we require when it comes to managing leads and scoring leads and tracking leads and aligning leads to this sales team. That's the difference between marketing automation and email marketing platforms. The difference between marketing automation and CRM, and I would highly recommend that your marketing automation tool is tied to your CRM, is that a CRM is powerful to run a sales process once we know who the entity is. But a marketing automation tool needs to find people and tie information to them before we know who they are, when they're just in the looking stage. And that's how I always explain the difference between marketing automation and CRM to people, and the reason why they need both, and they need to make sure those systems speak to each other. A lot of times I will work with marketing teams who are generating leads on a website, but really all they're doing is generating a whole list of email address with potentially a first and last name. We have no idea whether that's a good lead or a bad lead. We have no idea whether that's a spammer looking to sell SEO services. And so just a subscribe form that goes into an email platform is going to put a whole bunch of junk into your list. When you're able to actually filter and manage things, because now, an example for HubSpot, you see that somebody submitted an email address, and HubSpot goes to find all the publicly available information associated with that email address. Because when you build and turn it in, decide you're going to do some research yourself, look them up on LinkedIn, try to qualify them, try to reply, see that they've been actively engaged in your lists. It's going to pull data in. It's going to tell you what company they work for, the size of company. It's going to tell you a whole bunch of information that you will never know just putting email addresses into an email marketing tool and pushing it out. Now, HubSpot does have a marketing starter package. If you just want to have it behave that way, you can. But the real value and the gold in marketing automation is being able to now start to define leads, qualify leads, and figure out how you're going to define a marketing qualified lead so that you can decide when to give it to sales. Once sales works that lead and decides they're not ready yet, or it's not a good lead, they give it back to marketing. How does that all get managed? And how do you apply lead scoring? These are the things you need to be able to do today if you're going to start to build that trust, familiarity, longevity, all of those things online. And you can't do it just one-to-one. You can't do it manually. You need to be able to not only scale it up in a marketing automation tool, but you need to be able to track it. And a human being can't keep track of all these things. So when we do engagement by lead source, this is the kind of thing I ask people to map. Where are the best sources of your leads today? And so I would encourage you right now in the workshop, if you want to take a minute and start filling these boxes in, look at your lead sources today. Where are they coming from? 9 times out of 10, people say, well, referrals. We get our best leads from existing, our existing customers, or, advisors who are working in the company right now. They open their Rolodex, and that's all cool. It's not going to help you scale. So you need to look at, LinkedIn and other things. So right now I've just put, LinkedIn as a source. What's the criteria? Well, they have to fit the buyer persona profile. So if we look somebody up on LinkedIn, that buyer persona profile has to fit who we're targeting and why we're targeting them. We need to make sure that they look at important pages on our website, because those pages are probably tied to what they're trying to do. And we want them to give us an email address. So we need to have the ability to track the pages that they look at by who they are. So we know we can do some tracking in Google Analytics. We know that there is ability to see where people are going, but they're anonymous. We don't know who they are. With marketing automation, we want to be able to know every time they come back to the website, and we're able to identify via an email address, as an example, what they've done. So getting that email address is crucial. It's crucial for a variety of reasons, but mostly because it gives us the ability to really understand what they're looking at, what they care about, and where they might be in the buyer journey. You want unique content that piques interest because you want to be able to drive them to something they can do. You probably want to nurture them with 5 to 7 sends of various types of content. And then you probably want to wrap some lead definitions around them. So this is the kind of worksheet that you're going to have to fill out to figure out how you're going to map this into a marketing automation tool. But the richness of this data and the way in which you're going to execute this is going to help you build your marketing sales funnel. So let's just talk a little bit about how we see the marketing function from the awareness, consideration, and conversion perspective. Obviously, there's 5 main rings of buyer journey that are really important: awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty, advocacy. So loyalty, they bought; advocacy, they bought, they continue to buy, and they talk about you. And that's usually where we move people to sales and then eventually to customer service. But it's very much marketing's responsibility to manage awareness, consideration. And when I say conversion, I don't mean they're buying something. I mean, we're able now to convert them from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead so the sales team can have a conversation. So you look at the different things you need to do in the awareness category, but it's really in the consideration category where your marketing automation tool is going to add the most value and show you the most information about people with website content, case studies, downloads, videos, webinars, things that you're going to do to see how interested people are. And your content should be tied back to your value proposition and what you do. So you're always testing your value proposition. Is the reason they would choose this product or service more compelling than the competitor because of how I've positioned information that they're consuming? And then when you feel they've reached a certain level, you can pass that lead off to sales, who will start the sales conversation and hopefully convert them to loyalty and a purchase. I used to say to a lot of software firms who had a free trial as part of their conversion process, they used to say as soon as the free trial happened, look, we have customers. And we all know that's not true. Lots of people can sit on a free trial forever and in fact, never convert to a paying customer. Therefore, when they're on free trial, they're still in the marketing world as far as I'm concerned, and they should be sent good content regularly to see if they're willing to move forward and move to a paid part of the product. A free demo or a free trial, is what I'm trying to say. A free trial doesn't mean I have intention. It just means I, for whatever reason, thought I should sign up. And not to mention, there's lots of people who do have intention who never take the free trial because they know what the level of effort is and they don't have time to do that. They just want to go buy the right product. So you have to think about those kinds of things. As an example, if free trial is, for example, your offer, you need to think about how you convert people differently. I've just thrown in some lead scoring attributes that you might be trying to look at, just as an example to show people how you want to do lead scoring as you're bringing people through your website or you're bringing people through social media or however you're bringing them to you and identifying them. You probably want to start tracking some stuff that are happening on your website. This would be what we say are positive attributes. Then you might even want to throw in some negative attributes that if they're, in a location that you don't do business in, you want to qualify them out. Number of employees, known interaction. There is a great function in HubSpot where if somebody hasn't done anything in 90 days, it gets flagged and it starts to move those people off your list. Because if you're paying for a tool by number of email addresses that you have in the tool, you don't want to start bloating your tool with a bunch of people who have no interest in interacting with you. So, those are the kinds of things you can start to manage more aggressively that you can't do in just a generic email marketing platform. Now, this slide is going to maybe look a little overwhelming to people, but this is how you really are working them through a process. And we built this map just to show people how they're going to drive new prospects through the funnel at the top end and how we're going to move them to the middle of the funnel and how we're going to move them out to the sales team. And so, it's really important that you build this type of a funnel for your own company. To say, where's our lead sources coming from? What's their selection criteria for choosing us? What do those new targets look like that are coming through? Can we establish dating mining around them? Can we establish a personal approach now to get to know them? What's the main conversion point we're going to send them to? How are we going to review contacts? And how are we going to decide if they're marketing qualified? And then how do we decide if sales is sending them back to us because they're not ready yet? These are the kinds of things that you want to just build this one picture. This one picture becomes very, very powerful. Every single page of your website, every single piece of communication you send out needs to be able to answer these 4 questions very simply and very clearly. What is this? How does it apply to me? What do I need to do to buy it? Can I afford it? Those are the top 4 questions that go through a buyer's mind. And the faster and better you are at answering these questions, the more you will reduce buyer anxiety and friction. A lot of us do a great job of explaining what it is because we know our product and service. We start to fall apart in the how does it apply to me? And we really fall apart if we have a complex product or service that requires a complex sales effort. We don't do a good job. What do I need to buy it? We don't explain to the customer, here's how we're going to take you through actually purchasing this product. And then can I afford it? I can't tell you the number of arguments I've gotten into with people when I said you need to have pricing on your website. Well, we can't put pricing up because we do customized pricing because of, this, or I don't want to put pricing up. My competitor's going to see it. Well, guess what? Your competitor's going to get the deal if you don't have some conversation on your website about budget that should be created for this product or service, how to invest in this product or service. I have a lot of IT integrators and IT partners that I do business with, and they all say, well, we can't really tell until we, go meet with them and find out their environment that we can price something out. And I said, look, that when you walk into a company with no IT manager, that they're not going to have a sophisticated approach to IT. And you should be able to tell them based on their revenue, what percentage they should be spending on IT on an annual basis. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that. Great. Then that's a conversation you can have about pricing. And so everyone needs to have pricing on their website because the 4th most important question a buyer asks is, can I afford it? It's the reason why small businesses don't go to IBM or Oracle's websites because they might go looking for leadership content, but they know they can't afford it. They know where their budget's going to sit. So these are the kinds of things that you need to think about. And every page of your website needs to answer these questions. The web formula that we think works really well for people, and again, we've tested this many times, is, top left is your brand, a good anchor statement of very succinct 3 words or less, what you do, strong call to action in the top right. Don't put your social media icons on there. Nobody knows why they want to follow you yet on social media. Strong value proposition, dead center. Repeat your CTA. Tell me what happens if I do not do this. Tell me what success looks like if I do, and spell out a 3-step plan about how I'm going to buy the product or engage with the product. So we know a lot of people don't follow this formula. And we think that if you really want to create a stronger marketing sales funnel, get more names on an email address, you really need to recraft this. I'm going to just quickly go through a client of ours that we worked with recently so you can see how all of this comes together. I've taken their brand name off here. They sell technology solutions directly to the real estate sector. So they have the good fortune of being able to be focused on what their message is. And the reason they can say a faster way to digitally transform is that they have industry accelerators that are already configured for certain parts of the market. Their main CTA is talk to an expert, but we're going to talk about the transitional CTAs in a second. We wrote guides specific to their buyers' personas. In this case, real estate investment trusts is one of the industry verticals that they serve and the buyers that they serve. And we've talked about 6 incredible opportunities that REITs can be capitalizing on in 2021, given that they've come through a very tough year in the real estate sector. And, commercial real estate is way down. Leasehold agreements are blown up. Lots going on. So we took a positive spin. This is the landing page we drive the guide to. And then we put them through a workflow. And this is the workflow. And this is what you can build out in a tool like HubSpot. They are getting data from a Zoom info list that their inside sales reps are working through. And then they're manually adding people to their CRM and pulling up lists specifically to people who have been categorized as being in their real estate investment trust or the REIT sector. We then send them an email about portfolio diversity with the call to action being the guide. The next email goes out a few days later, all about how to handle contingency reporting, not from a technology perspective, but what's going on in the industry, why rising property expenses are hurting people and how to handle that. If they open at least one email, we move them up to the what do I need to do to buy it stage, which is a new workbook that they have on how they run envisioning business value assessment and solution assessment workshops with people to figure out what the correct technology roadmap is for a company. If they don't open anything, we send them 2 more. And if they still don't respond to anything, we put them in the keep in touch list. And it's either no, or what's happening on the other side is it goes to inside sales. And if they're not ready, it just moves back to the keep in touch. So we've mapped all this out so we know how much content we can be sending, exactly what content needs to be sent to this type of industry person. And I would point out that what do I need to do to buy it is the most important content that people forget. And it's not like sign up now, we'll give you a 20% off coupon. It's how's this going to work if I say yes? How do you onboard me? How do I work through a lot of stuff as I'm trying to transition to this new product or service? The what do I need to do to buy it is very specific to this company. It's a digital transformation handbook that we give them. And we know that when they download it, they're fairly close to wanting to talk to somebody in sales. The result for this client is that we would test a 500 list, very discrete 500 list. 25% of the 500 test opened 2 emails. 10% downloaded the first offer, which is the REIT guide, and 5% downloaded the second offer, which is the transformation workbook. 50 contact records were confirmed based on submitted data, which can be segmented by specific job title for a follow-up campaign in 2 months with specific content to that persona. Because in the forms we asked, are they the director of IT? Are they the director of operations? Are they director of finance? So now we can get more specific to their job titles. 40% that did not open anything or respond were put back on the KPI list, and we're just going to send them monthly blogs. But the sales results are that 25 people were connected to on LinkedIn and contacted in a warm way by sales via LinkedIn. 3 deals were added to the pipeline of people who said, yeah, I'm ready to talk to you. And the deals take 6 months to close. So revenue's not yet confirmed because we just launched this campaign about 2 months ago. But I just want to show you how this works as you're building a marketing sales funnel, what you need, how you're going to track people to go through this, and how you're going to get people on a list that you can nurture. So let's go back through those steps again. And if you've got questions, I hope you're writing them down, and I'm going to take them at the end of this, which we've just got. I've just got one more slide to share with you, but here are the steps. Let's recap on the steps. Confirm your value proposition and consideration content based on your value proposition and your buyer personas. Make sure to outline your buyer personas. If you need help from this, we have a buyer persona workbook that's available on our website. I'll give you a link to that in a second. Go get the buyer persona workbook, download it, make sure you understand how to build a buyer persona. You need to create a content theme and offer that piques interest. It has to be interesting to them, not to you. So that's where your buyer persona work is going to figure out what that is. You develop content and set up a landing page, hopefully in your marketing automation tool with touch points that visitors must go through to enter the MQL stage and how you qualify them. I like to do an initial 500 email send. That's because I work in the business to business sector, and we know we can get a good clean list of 500 people, and it's a good test size to the target persona. If you're in the consumer space, you're probably going to need bigger numbers, but that's what you want to do. And then you send and run the workflow for 2 to 3 weeks. You review the data, and I always say they fall into 3 categories. I love your value proposition and I want this right now, which they've converted. I like your value proposition, but I'm not ready yet. I don't want your value proposition. If the content performs because of the offer you're making, we usually see about a plus or minus 1%. Now, I know you're going to say, gosh, that's discouraging, plus or minus 1%. But for category A, I love your value proposition. It's going to be plus or minus. If you continue to send good content, you might get, I like your value proposition, but I'm not ready yet, up to about 10%. But 90% of people are going to fall into either I don't want it, I'm not ready, it's not of interest to me. So now you understand why you have to be testing, and running good content on a regular basis. And this is the only way to build trust, familiarity, longevity, consistency. I know it sounds exhausting, but trust me, there are no silver bullets anymore. I can't buy my way to the top with PPC. It's too competitive. And even when I do, I end up sending people to a website, in which case they don't know what to do when they get there. I can't cold call. Even LinkedIn acquisition campaigns of cold emailing people have very low and very limited results. And I know this because I see these tests being done all the time with clients that we have. This is the only way to build a consistent marketing sales funnel if you really want to use your web presence and your web strategy to build leads for your business. So here are the tools you're going to need. So first of all, you need agreement for sales on what a qualified lead is. What does that person have to exhibit in order to be qualified? You need the ability to create a 500 contact record test database. If you don't have that now, you need it. You need a marketing automation tool to add contacts, create email sends and workflows. You need a landing page. You can develop that landing page on your website in WordPress or your marketing automation tool. HubSpot has some great templates that allow you to build those really easily. You need a writer or designer to help you create the offer. You need an email marketing expert to help you design the email content, how you're going to structure people and qualify them. And you need Google Analytics to set up goal completions, because you want to track this over a 30-day period. Okay, so let's go through it again. Agreement from sales on a qualified lead, a 500 named email list, your marketing automation tool set up with data about people, and hopefully your landing page, good content, good workflow, and tracking mechanism, because you want to track and measure so you can iterate. Now, if you want to build your plan, this guide, Building an Effective Marketing Sales Funnel for Your Business, is available on our website under resources at marketingcopilot.com. So everything I've presented in this webinar today, you can get in one guide by going and downloading it. Please do that if you want to follow the steps. The other thing that we have there that I'd be happy to give away to people if they want to contact me directly, Marie at marketingcopilot.com, is workflow worksheets that allow you to build out your workflows that you might want to put in your marketing automation tool. Now, the special offer I talked to you about, which I'm very excited about, we are at Marketing CoPilot, a gold certified HubSpot agency, and I've been able to land a deal with HubSpot for startups at 85% off year one, 50% off year two, and 25% off year three in your deal with HubSpot. And it can be quite an expensive tool for marketing automation. So to get 85% off is pretty nice. So there is a form you can fill out, and I believe in the drop-down box there's Spark Center, which I encourage you to use that one, or if Innovation Factory is there, use that one. I don't believe Haltech's there. So I think just to be safe, you would choose Spark Center, just to say you're part of the ecosystem. You would then email me and say that you've submitted your application, because I will get you a discount link. And then I'll send you the link. You can set up your account, add your credit card information. We also do HubSpot setup for people. So if you needed help, we have an onboarding document we share. And if you want somebody to actually set it up for you, I've got a couple of resources to do that for you. If you're a current HubSpot user and you have an account that's free or paid that you're using, you still need to follow steps 1 and 2, submit the form, reach out to me. But then I have to go have a different conversation, and I can with HubSpot, so that they end your current contract period and start fresh with the discount pricing, because you want to get the 1 full year on the discount pricing, not whatever's left on your current contract. You don't want to just get upgraded to this. And if your current contract's up in 4 months, you only get 4 months on the discount pricing. So there's a slightly different process we have to go through. So if that's appealing to anyone and they want to use HubSpot, there's lots of other great tools out there. I'm not suggesting you do that, but it is kind of nice to get the startup pricing and being able to use the tool and get yourself going in the first year at an 85% discount and a 50% discount in year 2. So I highly encourage people to